Hi everyone. I'm going to share some more dreams, some more experiences before YouTube starts taking down tiny channels like this for no particular reason. Um, Before I do that, I want you guys to meet my little hamster. His name is Alexander the Great. I don't know if you were able to see him, but his name is Alexander the Great. That's true. I don't know why we named him that, but he's the most amazing hamster on the planet, I promise you. Okay, before I get into some of these experiences, I wanted to make something clear. A lot of you are probably wondering how in the world I could possibly remember such dreams that happened months, in some cases years ago. Well, I do remember them. I remember them as clear as day. I had these dreams I have a better memory of than many of my life events that I had 3 days ago. They just stick in my mind and won't go away. And these are the ones that I talk about. I mean, I dream almost every night, and most of them are just either really ridiculous or not worth talking about, or I don't remember them. So the ones that I am sharing, I do remember very clearly. And this next one that I'm going to share is a lucid dream I had. I'm going to say fairly recently, about 4 months ago. And this was particularly interesting because I remember having a very distinct and clear conversation in the dream, and I remember the words that were spoken in it. So it goes like this. I'm riding a bicycle through my local area over here in California on the beach. And I'm riding and riding and riding for what feels like an eternity. And I keep going and going and going. And these two men came beside me also riding bicycles. And they started getting very close. And they were riding along with me. And they kept looking at me and looking at me. And the next thing I know, I'm in a completely different place. I am in a very urban landscape. Not an urban that you would understand. This is very different. I feel like I'm below ground, a city below ground. And it looks very, very rigid and rectangular. Every building is just perfectly square. They're all the same dark gray, disturbing color. There are streets in this city that have this perfectly paved flat surface that is also very dark and gray. I see neon lights, these bright neon lights all over the place. It really reminded me of the city that was in the movie, a pretty old movie called Artificial Intelligence. That futuristic city, except much crappier and below ground. So I'm in this city and we're continuing to ride our bicycles with these two men that were beside me. I'm going, and suddenly we're pulled over by police of some kind, motorcycles. They're not motorcycles, they were electric bikes of some kind that were also had these like neon colors going on. They're kind of thin, kind of somewhat resemble those motorcycles from the movie Tron, except like more narrow. It's hard to describe. They were black in color, and these two officers, I knew they were police officers. They came out and they stopped us. They talked briefly with the two men who were riding with me, and they showed them something on their arm, and they let them go. Those two men were just gone. So they approached me, and this is when I remember the conversation that took place. They asked me, where is your scan? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. What scan? They're like, let me see your arm. And I raised my arm like this, and they wanted to see my arm, and they kept looking at my arm, and they're like, you don't have a scan. We can't scan you. Who are you? We can't identify you. And I was starting to panic, and I'm like, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where I am. Can you tell me where I am? And they just kept staring at me with this robotic like stare, like they themselves like hardly even resembled humans. They were kind of plastic, almost mannequin like, and they just kept staring and staring at me. And finally I said, what year is this? And this is the weirdest part. They responded, we don't know exactly what year it is because the bankers and the elite hold time. And I'm like, okay, can you tell me approximately what year it is? And they said, yes, 2083 is what we believe. And I'm like, okay. I really started to panic at this point. I could feel myself panicking in the dream. And I'm like, okay, I don't have a scan. I don't know what you want me to do. So they're like, we're going to bring you back to your own time. And they took me to this square-like location in the city that just completely lit up with these ugly pinkish lights everywhere. But in the middle of this square was like this opening, this archway, and it was emitted this very, very powerful energy and very powerful light. And I walk into this portal and I woke up. Okay. So now I'm going to share not a dream, not a lucid dream, but an out-of-body experience that I had about 9 months ago, I would say. This was very interesting and very hard to describe. Basically, I was taken out of body. I was taken above the earth, high above the earth. I had the sensation that there was something touching my shoulder. There was a being here. I wasn't alone, but I couldn't see him. There's no context or anything. All I felt was this presence that was on my shoulder. And we're staring down at the earth. And this presence, it takes like an invisible hand or something, and it goes in waves like this. And the earth shifts. It's like a chapter of a book. That's what I kind of compared it to. It shifted into like another earth. And when that happened, we went back down and I knew that we were in the exact location that I am now in Southern California. And we were taken back down, and I was shown another Earth that evolved on another timeline in a different way, in the exact location that I am now. And this kept happening. I kept going up above the surface, back down, and I kept getting shown different Earths, different evolutions, different dimensions of Earth in the same location, and they were all completely different, completely unique. They all, like, some were very urban skyscrapers, which in my area we don't have skyscrapers. Very tall structures, kind of 21st century looking. Other places were very rural, very agrarian, very kind of 1800s like. Other places were even beyond that, like ancient looking, these like Colosseum like structures, people wearing togas in my area in Southern California, which made it odd. Some places that I remember seeing this very massive bridge, very massive, very long, like suspension looking bridge. And we don't have that in my area, not even close. Another one I saw was very, very futuristic. There's flying ships, flying ships, flying craft, like flying cars, and some of them kind of look like blimps, like gray and black blimps flying around. And I kept going above, back and forth. This entity was showing me these different timelines, these different variations, different universes, I suppose, or different versions of Earth in the same location, just in a different dimension. I'm not sure exactly, but it was really interesting, really fascinating. And on top of that, I was seeing, avatars of self living out lives in these locations. Not only just avatars of myself, but people that I see and I'm familiar with in this life. I seen them too in many instances. And I not only saw them, I felt what they were feeling. I knew what they were thinking. I could kind of feel like the divine qualities emanating from all of these timelines. And one thing all these timelines had in common, which is the unfortunate part here, is that they all, whether they were ancient, agrarian, old, or the futuristic ones, they all felt much more evolved spiritually than where we are. I kind of got this sense like that there isn't something quite right where we are, that something didn't go according to plan, or it deviated off course too much. But the resonance that emanated from these timelines, these dimensions, was so much different than here. It wasn't really so much what I saw there. It was more what I felt. The divine attributes, the sort of natural qualities of these places were kind of very, it felt like they were synchronistic with the natural pattern of evolution in the universe. And here it doesn't feel that way to me. It feels parasitic, like we're not part of a natural pattern, like something has been hijacked. I think that was the point of this astral experience. I've been trying to figure this out for the longest time, what this could have meant, why I was shown this. But this is, after a lot of deep thought, this is where I'm getting at. This is what I think. Like, I'm being shown different paths that either the Earth could have taken, or different Earths. So it's just interesting to contemplate. That's all I have to share for today. Say goodbye to Sleepy Alexander the Great here. You can't really even see him because he's puffed up into a ball. All right, peace out.